Everybody, it's your girl Annette J. Morris, the owner and CEO of Go Getter LLC. Y'all know it's the vision and the mission of Go Getter LLC to help women identify their divine gifts, convert that gift into a 5 to 7 figure income generating business that supports their lives and their legacies. And also, I'm your girl, your host for the Mind TV series. Y'all know each and every week I bring y'all a bomb boss that's going to tell you about their journey through entrepreneurship and how it has helped their lives to move in new directions. So this week, it ain't nothing different, but I'm bringing y'all somebody that is wonderful, magnificent, dynamic in the PR space. I'm going to let her introduce herself and tell y'all all about her. Lily Mae, take it away.
Hello, everyone. I am Lily Mae, and I have been in the public relations industry for over 15 years. I've been a full-time entrepreneur for over 10 years, and I work with entrepreneurs to help them get more visibility for their business by confirming them for interview opportunities and speaking opportunities. I've confirmed clients for BET Networks, USA Today, Rolling Out Magazine, Black Enterprise, Travel Noir, Afrotech, you name it. And so that is my passion. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Lily Mae say 15 years. She barely looked like she could have been working for 15
Okay.
years. Right? So how did you get into PR, Lily Mae?
Great question. So when I went to UNC Chapel Hill, I got an internship at Universal Motown Records in New York at 21 years old. So I moved to New York for the summer and I worked in their public relations department. So that was my first, experience in public relations. It was so much fun that I was like, this is definitely what I want to do with my life. Fast forward, after graduation, I moved to Atlanta. And then one of my friends, he was working with someone on American Idol. And he was like, didn't you major in public relations? And I'm like, yes, I did. He's like, well, help me get some PR for him. And I started working with his artists, and then the snowball effect happened. And before you know it, I have a whole agency, different clients. And that's like the long story short of how I got into PR.
Awesome. So actually, that's what your college degree is in PR.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
What made you initially want to pursue a career in PR? What kind of prompted that for you?
Yeah, I think just a lot of my natural skill sets align very much with public relations. I love talking. I love writing. I love research. I love fostering connections. And so all of those things really helped me to propel as a publicist, as a PR strategist. So it was really like a natural fit for me and all of the things that I enjoy doing. Back in the day, I used to escort clients on red carpets and things like that. I love events. I love that interaction. So a lot of the things that you have to know as a publicist, it just really align well with who I naturally am and what my natural skill sets are.
Okay. Awesome. So tell us about little Lily Mae. When you were a child, like how did you know that you wanted to, or was this even like the profession? So I'll use, for example, like me, when I was a kid, I always wanted to be a teacher, right? So growing up, I was like, oh, when I, get older and I want to be a teacher and XYZ. But then by the time I got to high school, that all changed. Like, were you on that track from like little, or did you have other aspirations and then figured out something else along the way?
Yeah, as a kid, I always said I wanted to be a lawyer, and I stuck to that like through high school. And then when I got to college, something changed. And, I was like, maybe not, especially after I did that internship. When I did the internship, it was back in the day. So I'm going to date myself. Like it was back in the day when Manny Fresh was popping, now, Carl Thomas, all of those. Erykah Badu was actually on the label then. Universal Motown, Lumi D. I don't know if y'all remember her, but when I did the internship and I was around all of my favorite celebrities back then, it just seemed way more exciting than entering into a law career.
Okay.
So that's what shifted things. Like, wait a minute, I think I want to do this. And it has been such a fun journey ever since, for sure.
Well, that is funny. So how did you even get in that internship? Because normally, like, they make the internship align with like the track that you want to be on. You just got to choose like a different internship?
No, actually, one of my professors was a friend with someone that worked at the label. And so my professor just really took to me very, me and her she took to me. And so she was like, what are you doing this summer? And I'm like, I don't know. I need an internship. Because, in college, they're like, you need internships. And she was like, well, here's one that if you, want to try it out. And I'm like, wow, that sounds exciting. Going to New York for a summer. Yeah, let's do it. And so it was just kind of like a kismet moment where it was just meant for me to have that opportunity to go to New York, stay for a summer. And it really shifted the trajectory for sure of everything I wanted to do. Because it was the most fun summer ever.
So it was, so your major was law prior to then, and then you changed your major. So how did that happen?
No. It wasn't. Once I got to college, I didn't start on the law track. I was one of those students figuring it out. So I was taking different classes to see, let me see this, let me try this, let me try that. So I didn't jump into it at all. I just was taking classes to kind of figure out what I want to do for real. And so one of my communication studies classes was where this professor, I connected with her, and then she was like, hey, there's a PR internship, you want to give it a shot? And I was like, sure. So I was kind of figuring it out. What happened with the law thing, I did a program at Wake Forest University with their law students when I was about 18. And the actual law students were like, this ain't fun. We were 18, so we don't know it. So they kind of dimmed my whole I don't know about that from engaging with active law students at Wake Forest. So then when I went to Chapel Hill, I was like, I'm not married to law. Let me kind of figure out what I want to do, because those students said this is hard, this is challenging, it ain't fun. Right. So that's what kind of made me think, let me open up my horizons. When I went to college.
So I think we probably did the same thing, but however, I didn't have an opportunity to interview nursing students, but what I actually entered college into saying okay, I'm gonna go and pursue nursing. And then probably, to be honest, the first semester, I never liked science, right? Never been one that was a science buff type person. But I don't think I realized how much science was involved in nursing, right? And we didn't have back then, and I don't know if the school academic counselors are more effective now, but they really weren't all that effective back then. And so she wasn't the one to tell us okay, let's do a characteristic type battery test on you to see what your characteristics mesh with best as far as professions and careers and all of that. So we never had any of that. So when I entered college, I took a few classes. I failed biology the very first semester. That was the first time I had ever failed a class in my life. I was like, what's going on? How this professor give me an F? He didn't give me an F. I earned that F. And so the more I got into the academic track of pursuing it, I was like, I don't like this at all. So just like you realize hey, law ain't my thing, blah, blah, blah. I don't like this. I realized I absolutely cannot see myself doing this for a lifetime, for a professional, anything. And then so I went into the same track with you, just taking classes to see what's going to stick. What do I like? Because I don't want to sit out of college, but I also really don't know what I want to do. So I just took a bunch of classes. And then one day, like you, I took a psychology class and I loved that class, right? And I loved the professor. He was so funny. He was witty. He made psychology really fun and interesting. And so one day I decided to stay after class, and I'm like, hey, is there a way that I can pursue a degree in this? He was like, absolutely, girl. He was way too eager to tell me all about it. He was like, sit down, let me tell you, because he got a doctorate in psychology. And so he started telling me how I could get the degree and then what I can do with it and the different options and all these other things. So girl, it was at that moment I was like, I'm about to change my profession. I'm about to change my major. And I changed my major to psychology and then got my undergrad in psychology. But again, that whole experience with that particular professor kind of changed the trajectory of everything that, I was pursuing as far as college related or was. Because like you said, you started out in law, I started out in nursing, but here we are in two different capacities, depending on it as being growing up or whatever, right? So tell us more about the things that you've done in your business with PR.
Yes, I've worked with a ton of clients of all facets. There's so many doors that public relations open for me. I've even interviewed other celebrities like Wendy Williams and Russell Simmons, and it's just opened up so many doors. I did a BET reality show pilot about public relations where they flew in and filmed us in Atlanta. I've just made so many dynamic connections through public relations. I remember when the Monique show was on BET Networks and I confirmed a client for that. That was an amazing opportunity. So really, it's just a great door to help other people reach their goals and elevate their business visibility. So so many different platforms I've been able to get on myself, as well as get my clients on as a public relations strategist.
Okay, so if a client was looking for more, because I know a lot of times you give different strategies and tips on how people can, put themselves out there more.
Mm-hmm.
And the name of the game really in business is like being more visible, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I tell this to my clients all the time, like you can't be the world's best kept secret, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you want your business to be effective, because if we sit down and watch TV for about an hour, we probably gonna see at least 3 or 4 McDonald's commercials, right?
Mm-hmm.
McDonald's will not allow you to forget them, and you can't possibly ever forget them, right? Because they're everywhere, right?
Yeah.
But if they still run commercials, you as a person, a small business owner, CEO, or whatever, have to be visible in
Mm-hmm.
order to be able to get more clientele, build your business, scale in business, all these other things. Give some insight to business owners of the importance of PR and being visible.
Yes, it's extremely important, especially now that there are more entrepreneurs than ever. It was a statistic that came out last year that there were like millions of new entrepreneurs since the pandemic. So that means
Mm-hmm.
every industry is saturated. Everyone does everything. And so what's going to set you apart from the next person that does exactly what you do is visibility, people seeing you as an expert, people continuing to hear you talk about your expertise and the solution that you provide. And so it's more important now than it was 10 years ago to stay visible, to connect with podcasts, magazines, to stay visible on social media so that, like you said, people cannot forget you. Because what happens, especially with social media algorithm, you can post something today and only a small fraction of your audience gets to see that. But if you continue to do interviews, continue to go live, continue to connect with platforms like this so that you can speak, you're increasing the chances of your audience seeing and remembering you so that when they are ready to do business, Lily comes to mind, Annette comes to mind. So visibility is so important now more than ever for entrepreneurs.
Okay. And then for the entrepreneurs that are, let's just say they're just starting up and they really don't feel like they can afford somebody like you that's doing PR, give them some strategies that they can use, like to build themselves up until they can get to you, right? So I'll use, for example, like as a coach, my coaching services are higher end, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I have like a low touch point where they can come into the university, which is like $97 a month, and learn a lot of what I teach my clients, but it's almost like a DIY platform, right?
Mm-hmm.
So giving them like some low end strategies or whatever, or even like free, like social media, like you just say, go live or whatever, right? Give them some insight on things that they can do that's at low cost until they can build them, especially if they're a startup entrepreneur. They don't have a lot of revenue. Most of them don't have a lot of revenue. What
Right.
can they do low cost to start up right now to build themselves up until they can get to somebody and hire you to be their PR person?
Yeah, absolutely. One thing I always tell people that even if you can't hire a publicist full time, you could definitely afford a consultation call or a strategy call. So that's
Mm-hmm.
something I offer that's very like inexpensive, where I still get to give you some strategies that you can use that are specific to your business. So I would definitely encourage people that don't have a huge budget to at least do a call with a strategist so that they
Mm-hmm.
can give you specific ideas for your business. Outside of that, I definitely always encourage people to prepare their business for the attention that they're seeking from clients. So make sure that your social media is clean. Make sure that your message is very understandable so people know exactly what you do when they come to your page. Make sure
Mm-hmm.
your website is very clear. Like those are basic things. Make sure you're using what's in your hands. Like who do you know that you can go live on Instagram with, that you can host a clubhouse room with, that you can go on Facebook Live with. I always encourage people that if you're a part of Facebook groups, message the admin of these groups and say, hey, can I go live inside of your group and share 5 ways that XYZ, like some
Mm-hmm.
value? And most of those group owners will be like, sure, because they want their members to get value. So start
Mm-hmm.
showing up in a servitude type of capacity to offer value to different platforms so that you can get visibility that way until
Mm-hmm.
you're ready for media attention. Those would be a
Okay.
few things I would suggest.
So just kind of leveraging other people's audiences.
Yes, collaborating and offering value, not just approaching from, I have a webinar to sell. Like, don't
Mm-hmm.
approach it that way, but this is the value that I can share with your audience. And doing those type of collaborations will definitely increase your visibility.
Okay. Okay. And then also, so we talk about like the free strategies or whatever that they can use, leveraging other people's audience, going in different groups. But I also heard you say like Clubhouse and Facebook. How often, like a lot of people talk about you should go live at least every day, you should go live twice a day. Like, what's the visibility ratio, I guess we can call it, to make sure that you are consistently being seen by either your audience, other people's audience, whatever it is? What is your recommendation on that?
Right. So one thing I always tell people with social media is that you don't have to be everywhere. So you don't have to feel like I need to be on Instagram, Facebook, like I have to go live, because that's a bit much. But what you do want to figure out is which one of these platforms do you get the most action and response on. So if that's Facebook, focus on Facebook. If it's Instagram, focus on Instagram. If it's Clubhouse, focus on that. So number one, pick a platform and work that platform. Don't spread yourself thin.
I am so glad you said that. Do you hear me? Because other people always saying like you need to be represented on all platforms or whatever, and that gets to be like really draining when you're trying to. Let me make sure I post on Instagram. Or let me do a TikTok. Or let me do Facebook X, Y, Z, or whatever. So I'm so glad you said that. Finish saying what you said about that. But say that again for the people in the back that could not hear that. That's trying to be on all the platforms, stressing out because we trying to work and be on all the platforms at the same time. Yeah.
Pick a platform that gives you the most reaction and engagement and work that platform. I have colleagues who work Clubhouse and make 6 figures off of Clubhouse. I have colleagues who work Instagram Live and they make $1,000 every time they go on Instagram Live. So the key is to pick what works for you the best and then put energy there and show up consistently there so that people know, okay, at noon on Mondays, I can expect Lily to go live. Or on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at noon, Lily's going to go live. So it's not necessarily about the frequency that you're showing up. It's the consistency and expectation you set with your audience so that they know when they can tune in and when they can catch you. So it's not about, stretching yourself thin and going live 3 times a day. What is your capacity to operate effectively in your business and show up on this platform? Create a schedule on that platform and just stick to it. And with like Instagram Live, you can actually schedule your lives so that people know when you're coming. So that would be my advice there.
Okay. Can you do a scheduled live on Facebook as well, or just only on Instagram?
Good question. I'm not sure about Facebook if you could schedule a live yet, but I do know 100% you could do that on Instagram, and then of course on Clubhouse you can schedule your rooms in advance.
Okay, cool. And let me ask you one other question before we talk about how your business has helped your life to move in new directions. I'm always told that when you're hiring a PR person, you just want to make sure that they're as good as their connections, right? And as far as like the type of business persons that you service, is there a particular clientele that you like, your target audience that you service, or can you service any entrepreneurs? Do you service like coaches and speakers or entrepreneurs in general?
Yeah, so for the most part, I work with women entrepreneurs specifically. Most of my clients tend to be speakers and coaches, but I've definitely worked with beautypreneurs. I've worked with, all types of entrepreneurs in the finance and tax industry, entrepreneurs in the credit industry. And honestly, no matter what industry they're in, most of them are still coaches and speakers.
In some capacity.
In some capacity. Most of my clients, they may have a tax business, but they are a speaker. They may be in the credit industry, but they coach women how to get in the credit industry. So I would say speakers and coaches.
Okay. And then you help them to gain more speaking opportunities?
Yeah. So what happens with media interviews, usually it opens the door for them to gain more opportunities. So with my platform, Glambitious, I always have speaking opportunities. So my clients get plugged into that. But what happens is when I confirm them for different interviews, that also opens the door for them to get interview opportunities. Like one of my clients, she did an interview with a platform called like Black Women Moguls, and then she got invited to speak on their platform. So it kind of goes hand in hand.
Okay. And most of these are paid speaking opportunities?
Some of them are paid and some of them are unpaid, but I also coach my clients on how to turn an unpaid engagement into paid.
Absolutely. At least sell at the back of the room something, right?
Correct.
And y'all definitely, because I want you all to see like speaking is a business, right? A lot of people don't realize like they can convert a speaking opportunity or speaking opportunities into a speaking business, right? There are speakers that make millions of dollars a year and that's all they do is speak, right? So like your boy Eric Thomas, he gets paid, like he told us at this last conference, he gets paid $60,000 per speaking engagement. You know what I mean? So yeah, that is a lot that you can definitely live a whole life of just being a speaker if you desire to. So that's why I was asked her about paid speaking opportunities, and then unpaid, you can actually leverage them and walk away from the event with some type of revenue or whatever. If you sell books, whatever it is, if you make sales at the back of the room, then you can definitely walk away with revenue. So tell the audience, how did entrepreneurship help to transition your life into new directions? Because the name of the show is The Mind, moving in new directions. And I like for entrepreneurs to tell the audience like how entrepreneurship has helped you to shift. You're full-time in entrepreneurship, right?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about that move in new directions through the entrepreneurship journey.
Yeah, so I've been a full-time entrepreneur for 10 years straight, even through the pandemic. Glory to God for holding me down through the pandemic.
All of us, right?
But yes, prior to that, I was, working a job and I just remember feeling so stifled working that job. And so entrepreneurship has opened the door for me to have so much more freedom in my life, creative freedom. It's opened the door for me to feel satisfied and fulfilled by the work that I do. Like I just had a coaching call Friday with a young lady that's putting together a 5K, and she paid for a 30-minute session and we were going so well. She was like, okay, I want to pay you for another 30 minutes right now. Let's keep it going.
Yes.
I was so excited to talk to her and excited to help her with her business. When I have those moments, it's like, man, this really fulfills me. Like, I'm not just doing this for the money. Like, this really fulfills me. This really excites me. And so that's what entrepreneurship has done for me. It's put like this world of fulfillment in front of me where I can actually feel excited and fulfilled by the things that I do. Like even speaking with you today, this excites me. This fulfills me. And this is a part of my job as an entrepreneur.
Yes.
To speak. So it's been a blessing. It's not been a super easy journey. So I always tell people, hold on to your corporate job while you're building your business. Let your corporate job be your sole investor. Like don't think it's super sexy over here in entrepreneur land, okay? Because it's hard.
It's not. And listen, that is what I tell everybody all the time. So my transition was very different. I did not follow that track at all. I followed God, right? God was like, it's time. And let me not say I followed him easily and willingly, right? Because initially I was like, no, that must be for somebody else. I'm not doing that because that don't make no sense. And then when God kept pressing on my spirit, I was like, okay, I have to do this or whatever. This doesn't make any sense. I don't have any money saved. I don't have, none of this. I don't have no rich uncles anywhere, no nothing. But I heard God say it, right? And from there, like God just started providing all of the provisions, right? So I tell anybody, like even at that point in time, my best friend was like, you know what? I'm gonna quit my job too. I was like, no, because this ain't easy. Like a couple of months in, I was like, no. I said, if God don't tell you to do it, don't do it, right? In the very next summer, she ended up getting terminated from her job, and she was like, I was like, well, how do you feel? Like, are you okay? She was like, I'm absolutely okay because I've seen what God has done in your life over the past year. So I know for sure that I'm going to be all right, right? And so she's been out here in entrepreneurship land. I'll be 12 years this summer. She'll be 11 years this summer, right? Both of us as full-time entrepreneurs. So it is definitely a journey. Is it worthwhile? Absolutely. Is it easy? Not by a long shot. It's very hard. Like there are days that I just want to say, look, Lord, I quit. I'm gonna give you my pink slip. You don't have to give me one, I tell him my letter of resignation right now, and he just be like, no, ma'am. So this has definitely been a journey. I'm glad to like stay connected to women like you. I know we were together in Tulum, so you travel with your clients and everything, which is very exciting. How often do you travel?
Well, I love traveling, and I know me and you initially connected at my Essence Fest brunch.
Event, yeah. So are you doing that again this year?
So I don't think I'll be doing the Essence Fest brunch this year, but I am doing an Atlanta conference to celebrate my 10th year anniversary this year. So I am doing that. But to your point of travel, that's another thing that I love about entrepreneurship is that it allows me to travel with my business. I've hosted events in Philly, New York, DC, Atlanta, Charlotte, New Orleans, Miami. And so that is also a part of my business, hosting these, events for women entrepreneurs to have a platform to speak. Like I said, my Atlanta conference is coming up August 26th. And again, it's a way for me to provide a platform for women. So I absolutely love traveling and traveling with my business and traveling with my clients when it permits.
Yeah, this is awesome. This is phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you so much for joining us this week on the Mind TV series. Tell before we leave, what do you want to leave with the audience? Most of them are entrepreneurs, either existing entrepreneurs or aspiring to go into entrepreneurship. What words of encouragement would you leave for the audience?
Yeah, I have to kind of bounce off of something you said as far as God guiding you in your journey. And so my closing thought would be to make sure that you're in alignment with God's vision for your life, because sometimes we have a vision for our lives, but then God has a greater vision. So when you're in alignment with God's vision for your life, it doesn't matter what things look like. It doesn't matter what the economy says or what the bank account says. If you're in alignment with his will and with his vision for your life, you can trust that you are on the right path, and that as you take one step, he'll take two steps, and you'll end up exactly where he wants you to be. So those would be my closing thoughts, is to really keep that faith, that faith cup filled, because this is not an easy journey, and stay in alignment with God's vision over your own vision.
Absolutely. Oh, girl, that was so good. Because guess what? This year, like for 2023, I had some visions, and I was doing my vision board, and I was like, these are some of the things I'm gonna do. And then God just interrupted before I could finish putting my pictures on the board. And I was like, that's not in my plans for 2023. He was like, I don't care. I need you to do this ASAP. So it was just like, he totally wrecked my first quarter, to be perfectly honest, with something that, the weird thing was, it was something that he had given me back in 2017. When I went back and looked, I was like, okay, God, I understand. Like, now is the time. So let me get it done. But yeah, definitely make sure you are in alignment with God's purpose for your life, because really that's the only thing that's going to flourish. He's going to bless what he has anointed for you to do, and not when you operating in somebody else's lane. So take that word and meditate on that. Okay, y'all? Lily Mae, tell everybody where they can follow you and how they can stay in touch with you.
Absolutely. So please visit my website, theglamceo.com. That's theglamceo.com. If you join my email list, once a month, I send out about 100 grant and funding opportunities for entrepreneurs, as well as other opportunities for your business. And if you visit the site, you'll see different interview opportunities you can have with my brand, Glambitious Magazine, Glambitious Podcast, as well as tickets and speaking opportunities to my Atlanta conference. So again, my website is theglamceo.com, and you can follow me on Instagram at I am Lily Mae.
Awesome. Well, y'all, again, thank you so much, Lily Mae, for joining us this week. Y'all, thank y'all for tuning in. Y'all know, same time, same place next week, same bad station. We're going to be back here with another bomb entrepreneur telling you their entrepreneurship journey, on how it has moved their life in new directions. So until next week, see y'all later. Bye.
Bye.
Welcome to Go Getter University. It's the home and a one-stop for entrepreneurs, teaching all things entrepreneurship. We have courses ranging from how to start a business, how to start a nonprofit organization, to how to generate your first 10K consistent month, on to grant writing. Anything that you want to learn about entrepreneurship, it is in Go Getter University. Follow us at www.goalgetteruniversity.com to register.